about 10 minutes when I was working on the message, so like you said, while you're doing the message, you're early. So
I'll tell you
I'll finish watching
though, it's really chilling, and I had no idea that the whole Southern Baptist Convention is so invested.
All right, let's get started.
It's shocking, I had no idea.
We're going to start off in the Blue Book this morning. 201, down from his glory. 201. Down from his glory. And let's all stand for our first song. Down from his glory, ever-living story, my God and Savior came, and Jesus was his name. Born in a manger, to his own a stranger, a man of sorrows, tears, and agony. Oh, how I love him, how I adore him, my breath, my sunshine, my all in all, the great Creator became my Savior, and all God's fullness dwelleth in him. What condescension, bring us redemption, that in the dead of night not one faint hope is nigh. God gracious tender, lay aside his splendor, stooping to win to save my soul. Oh, how I love him, how I adore him, my breath, my sunshine, my all in all, the great Creator became my Savior, and all God's fullness dwelleth in him. Without reluctance, flesh and blood is sustenance. He took the form of man, revealed the hidden plan. Oh, glorious mystery, sacrifice of Calvary. And now I know he is the great I am. Oh, how I love him, how I adore him, my breath, my sunshine, my all in all, the great Creator became my Savior, and all God's fullness dwelleth in him. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Well, we started off kind of weak, but we ended up nice and strong. Number 98, where the Spirit of the Lord is. Number 98. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is peace. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is peace. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is love. There is comfort in my darkest hour. There is light and light. There is help and power in the Spirit. One more time. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is peace. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is love. There is comfort in my darkest hour. There is light and light. There is help and power in the Spirit of the Lord. All right, now let's move on to Beloved. Green Book song, also up on the screen. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love. Beloved, let us love one another. John 4:7-8 again. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love. Beloved, let us love one another. John 4:7-8. All right. Now let's move on to the servant song. Brother, let me be your servant. Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I might have the grace to let you be my servant too. We are pilgrims on a journey. We are brothers on the road. We are here to help each other walk the mile and never alone. I will weep when you are weeping. When you laugh, I'll laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we've seen this journey through. When we sing to God in heaven, we shall find
for last song, let's sing number 49, Knowing You, and let's all stand for last song.
All I once held dear, built my life upon all this world reveres and wars to know. All I once thought gain, I have counted loss, spent and worthless now, compared to this. Knowing you, Jesus. Knowing you, there is no greater thing. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Now my heart's desire is to know you, to be found in you, and known as Lord. To possess by faith what I could not earn, all surpassing gifts of righteousness. Knowing you, Jesus, knowing you, there is no greater thing. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Oh, to know the power of your risen life, and to know you in your suffering, to become like you in your death, my Lord, so with you to live and never die. Knowing you, Jesus, knowing you, there is no greater thing. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Love you,
And Lord Jesus, we do love you. We're here to demonstrate and manifest that love. And we worship you, and we acknowledge your death, burial, and resurrection for us. We thank you for our brother Sean, and we just ask you to speak to him this morning. Use his preparation, and he be your oracle to us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Well, good morning, brothers and sisters.
Good morning, Sean.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I heard some rumblings and grumblings about Valentine's Day before I came up. Let me open up my notes here. Yes. Oh.
We're doing it?
Well, sure, we should get you. So the camera can see, this is for my wife, and she tells. Thank you very much. Does it count even if all the ladies got one? Is that still right? How come the guys don't? Isn't Valentine's Day for guys too? I'll just take a new car. That works. Was it? Oh, Mike got one. Ah, very good.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. All right. I'm pulling up notes. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Well, So today is Valentine's Day, and so I do want to talk about love is going to be our topic today, but there's a special love that has arrived in the Wicks home. No, it's not a fifth child, but it might as well have been. We have a new puppy, and the new puppy's name is Grogu. He's named after the little baby Yoda from Star Wars. I'm sorry if you didn't know the name. It's been 2 months now. I'll get over it. Anyways, and but my kids like the show, and so they named our new little puppy Grogu, and so he's the new little love in the family. I was really happy to be done. Kids out of diaper and changing, the poop and pee stage. I was glad to be done with that. But now we have a dog, and now I'm still picking up poop and pee. So a little dog, trying it to go where it's supposed to go, and that's just kind of how it goes. I'm resistant on picking it up. I did not commit to this. I was actually one of the voices that was dissenting. So my son has done a good job of being the little boy who picks it up, and mom is taken from there. But here's the disturbing part of the new little dog, is my wife will hold this little dog, Grogu, and she will pet it, and he's tiny. He's like this big, right? And she just holds him, and she's all, "Oh, you're so adorable." And she snuggles him. She goes, "Kisses, kisses." Because she's all, "I love you," right? And then later on, she's going to tell me she loves me. That's very disconcerting to me. This dog has gotten in the way of me getting the proper care that I deserve in this house. This little furball is now getting all this affection, and my wife is constantly telling the dog how much she loves the dog. And then she looks at me and says, "When are you going to take out the trash? The trash is overflowing." But I realize that we use the word love in so many different ways. I can say, I love baseball. I can say, I love my cat. I love my dog. I love my car. I love a lot of things. I love playing games. And then we say, I love you, and I love God. I love tacos. I hope I love God means something different than I love tacos. Oh, the flower dropped? Thank you. That was an act of love. Thank you. There is so many ways we use the word love, and it's so broad in our language. I mean, the fact that you can say, "Oh, I love it," to about anything, that's kind of disconcerting when you have to tell your other somebody, special somebody, like you're proposing, and you want to come up with the best words you can, and you say, "I love you." And they go, "Well, I don't know, you just told me you love that movie, and that movie was, so I'm not so sure." Because we use love in such a broad way as a word. And of course, I hope it means something different in all these cases, and I'm sure it does. But I think the broad use of our word love, and I could have quoted a bunch of songs and all that, I think it's actually done damage. It's actually added confusion to what the term really means. The Greeks divided up this word. We have a few words. We have a word like care, but if you tell that woman in that special moment you care for her, or I care about you, I don't know if that's really communicating everything that you want to at that moment. We try to find other words. And I like to say when my wife tells me that she loves me, I say I have warm feelings about you, but it never goes over very well. It's hard to come up with other words in our language because we haven't divided it. But the Greeks, they divided up this word a little bit, and it was nice for the biblical writers. So one of the words, of course, is eros. Now, eros, you're going to read in a lot of Bible commentaries, doesn't appear in the Bible. It's not true, it does appear in the Bible. They say, it doesn't appear in the New Testament. True, but it actually does appear in name form in the New Testament. There's a guy named Erastus, which comes from the Greek word eros. And so it doesn't mean just erotic love. I know our word erotic comes from eros, and people think of it as erotic love, but the word meant so much more than that in Greece. For us, eros might mean that, but not for the average Greek reader. Eros pops up in the Old Testament. It's used throughout there, but the word eros means passion. It means you're passionate. You're full of passion. So that can be erotic. It means your feelings get stirred up, all those internal desires. It can mean kind of the lusty element to it, but really that's the word lust. They have a Greek word for that. It means more passion in the Greek. Yes, that does include sexual love, but also includes, you know, that moment and you're looking at the sunset and you're overwhelmed with this feeling and sense of awe, and you're like, I just love this moment. That's eros. That stirs passion in you, ecstasy. That is what eros means in the Greek. So we get this when your favorite baseball team finally wins the World Series in 32 years. I had a moment of eros. Yes! That is what I'm talking about. That's eros. The New Testament never brings up this word. Interesting. Phileo is a word that does appear a lot. Phileo means affection. Specifically, the affection a brother and sister would have, but it doesn't have to be just for a brother and sister. It means brotherly love. But it doesn't have to be between just a brother and sister. Anybody can have, two friends can have that. You would say, oh, they have phileo because they have a brother, like Jonathan and David. That's the word that used there in Septuagint. They had brotherly love. They had phileo for one another, tender, affectionate. They cared about each other. And that's the idea. It's that sense of siblings love, the love between friends. We have a city named after this, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Well, not so much, but it should be. The city of brotherly love, right? That's the name of it, Philadelphia, right? This idea of phileo is really important. It pops up in the New Testament a lot more than we might think. And sometimes our translators translate it affectionate or brotherly love, or they try to tell you that it's a different word because we don't have a good term for it. But it's an important word, and it's not to be downplayed. It's a really important love. And then, of course, there's agape. We've heard a lot about this. People have tried to define agape. See, because here's the thing, is agape is only used like 3 or 4 times outside of the Bible. It just wasn't a Greek word in use. And really what it meant, all 4 times it's used outside of the Bible, it just means goodwill. Kind of like general goodwill. Like I have goodwill towards mankind or something like that. It's just, I'm doing my humanitarian thing. It means goodwill. Well, the New Testament definitely doesn't mean that by it. The Christians grabbed this word and said, okay, we don't have a good word to use. Kind of like we use the word Trinity. We had to invent a word. They said, we're going to take this Greek word agape, we're going to grab this word, and we're going to use it. And we're going to Christianize it, and it's really a Christian word. And they used the word agape. Now the Jews used it too, though. So I don't leave it with just the Christians. And they used it a lot when they were using their Old Testament translation. They used it to replace the word hesed, which is a really important word for love, and it's a covenant love in Hebrew. It's a special type of love. It's not just your normal word for love, like love, feelings, and all that. It means a covenant love. It means our responsibility to be loyal. Loyal love is often how it's translated. That this is my loyal love because I made a commitment. I'm going to keep it through. That's the commitment that I'm here. I'm here. My desire is to be loyal. So it's kind of that loyalty, that loyal love. That's the word hesed. And agape seems to replace that in the New Testament. Some people try to say, well, agape is unconditional. I don't know. Yes, no? We're importing that. Maybe it is unconditional. It's just, that's not, the Bible doesn't define it that way. Some people said love is an action. Agape means action. Well, love does have action. And there is action to love. But that's not what the word love. Love isn't just mean action. And it isn't just an action. In fact, I would actually say that would kind of ruin the word as we look at the passage we're going to look at today. So let's find the way of love today. I think we've all kind of lost our way a little bit in love. And let's find out what this idea of biblical agape, the biblical love is. Will you turn with me to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the famous chapter of love. And this is the way of love. As the Mandalorian says on Star Wars all the time, he says, this is the way. But we're not talking about the way of the warrior. We're talking about the way of love. This is the Christian way. And there's this wonderful, beautiful chapter. It reads like this. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have all faith, so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Let's just start with those first 3 verses. There's a lot in this spot here. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels, but I have not love, I'm just a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. So we have musical instruments used as kind of a metaphor here. And he basically says that if I could speak like an angel or speak in a foreign, have you ever heard anybody speak in a foreign tongue? I will listen to them just to hear the other language. It just rolls off the lips, right? I'm just like, oh. And there's something about the English accent. I ran into a person in the English accent, and I said, it truly is the better language. I don't know why, I like listening to it. It sounds prettier than our language. And people speak Spanish, when you hear Spanish sung, I don't even know what the words are there, and I'm just like, oh, I'm in love. This is beautiful, right? It's just an incredible song. It's all the O's and the R's, I don't know what it is. But you could speak as beautifully as an angel. You could sing with the angels. But if you have not love, it's nothing more than a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. My children make some awful noises sometimes in the house. It's loud yells, banging things. And I had a headache last night that I just couldn't. It was like the worst I felt in a long time. I'm like, just please stop making those sounds. It's like everyone just reverberates through my head. And they kindly did listen, which I appreciate. But after 3 or 4 tries. But I'm a truth-centered guy. I just don't want to be false. But they did. But that's all we are without love. Sing all you want to God. Speak about him in your foreign tongues. But if you don't have love, you're just like a clanging cymbal. It says here, understand with all mysteries and all knowledge, all faith. Who could you imagine having all this prophetic powers? You have insight, you know what's going, you can see into people's hearts. You're just like a walking prophet, right? And you can understand all the mysteries. You have all knowledge. You're just a brilliant person. You have all the knowledge. And you have all faith. You have a faith to move a mountain. Where Jesus said, the smallest of us, you can tell this mountain, get up and move the sea. You have that faith to do it. You're nothing without love. You're not some hero. You're nothing. I am nothing. That's what Paul says. If I give away all that I have, that sounds like love. I'm going to give away all my money. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give away all my time and all my energy. I'm going to give it away. But if you have not love, what does Paul say? You can deliver up your body to be burned. And in another version of matters which text you want, ancient text you want to go with, it says, I give my body over for death, for martyrdom, basically. It's a word that's the implication here, is I'm putting my body up for sacrifice. But you don't have love? Profits you nothing. Nothing. In fact, you could even say, the Greek says that word for nothing can just mean, it just says it profits no one. See, there's a context to this whole chapter. At the end of the chapter, last chapter, he was talking all about these gifts. And in chapter 14, he's talking about all these church gifts. And this is really about the church that he's talking to, this idea of love. And he's talking about the church as the people. And he's talking about love all over. And he says, there's all these wonderful gifts. There are people, are all apostles? No, we're not all apostles. Some of us, the word apostle means like missionary in the ancient. Not all of us are missionaries. We have Bill and Angie out there, and we have Jerry in another place. But we're not all called to do that, right? We're all called to sent out by God, but not like they are. Are all prophets? No. Are all teachers? No. Why would we need other people if we all have these gifts, right? God made it to where we have to love each other. Do all work miracles? No. But who wouldn't want all these gifts of healing, speaking in tongues? Who wouldn't want all these gifts? And Paul says, but I tell you, to earnestly desire the higher gifts. And he's going to talk about prophecy being a better gift than tongues. And the reason why is because it edifies others. It's not just getting me better. And he says here, I will still show you a more excellent way. This is the way. This is the mark of a Christian. Here is the more excellent way. It is love. And what agape means, when you take it in all of its context, it is, agape is motivated by God. It is this idea that I want to please God. I am God-centered. I am God-focused, and I'm other-centered. And I'm other-focused. The idea of agape is blessing others. Some translations use different words like charity. Right? The King James, I don't mind that word, because at least it gets that sense of the goodwill. It means it's I'm giving something away because I have somebody else in mind. Right? It can't be just, I give it all away. We just read that. I can give everything away. But if it's just to stoke up my pride, look what a generous person I am. You help no one. You're no hero. You're part of the problem. See, because agape isn't an action, isn't unconditional, it's all that. It's conditioned on God. It seeks to bless God and others. It is concerned about others. It's all about motivation. Agape is a motivation. Agape is a centered word that talks about what is your motivation. You can be martyred for God. Well, I shouldn't say for God. You could be martyred. But if that's just so they write books about you, useless. It's nothing. Agape is outward. It's motivated by God and it's motivated by others by putting them first. That's what agape is. The church and her gifts. This is what Paul's talking about in the context, is that I am concerned about others. I am motivated about God. I want to make sure God gets honored. I'm concerned about what's going to happen to God's church. I'm concerned about what's happening in Mike's life, and Eric's life, and Donita's life, and Dorothy's life. That's my concern. My concern is that your preference is being met. Sean, it's cold in the chapel. I'm concerned about Dorothy. Not me, I'm actually kind of warm. But I'm concerned she might be cold. That's rare. Mostly you get, I'm cold. Fix it. But this is the love we're talking. This is what love is. This is what agape is. The music, I don't like it. I'd rather hear, I'm not sure if so-and-so appreciates this type of music. Maybe we should change it. That's at least other-centered. I'm not sure if God likes this song. Look at some of the words in here. Maybe we shouldn't sing that one. Paul brings this into our world, and he makes it practical. Because you know what? If we just leave love up in the vague sense of abstract, this idea that it's my motivation, I don't think we'll ever really get it. Paul takes it out of the rafters, and he brings it down into the practical realities of life. He makes it tangible and concrete. This is what he says. He says, love is patient and kind. Just stop there. Love is patient and kind. Man, this word is a hard one to get by. Of all the words you could have started with, to say that love is patient. You know how the Bible uses patient elsewhere? It talks about how God is so patient with us. Little dogs can be annoying. Kids can be annoying. I'm amazed at some parents' patience. I watch them going, wow, that's impressive after what that kid just did. It's kind. Darn, our culture needs this. It's kind. The fact that I maybe even somebody go, what does kind mean? Could say that now. It's really sad to me. I tell my kids, and I mean it with all my heart, when they go to school, when they go to church, when visitors come over to our house, the one thing that matters to me is not that they say, wow, you have such a smart kid. Wow, you have such a zealous kid. He really loves the Lord and all like that. I want to hear that he was kind, that they were kind. Because I know if they're kind, it's because they love the Lord and they love others. I want that to be their motivation. Not because they're going to get some reward or some more screen time, but what about for us adults? Patient and kind. So he starts off with the two things that it is. And then he says, love does not envy or boast, right? Because it's thinking about others and self. How could it even, that's by very definition, it can't be envy or boast. Because envy looks at what somebody else has and so much wants it that they're willing to hurt that person. That's what envy is. You have what I want, so I'm willing to take you down. It's how people feel about Tom Brady sometimes, or these athletes that are really successful. They get envious. He's everything. Let's take him down. We can do it if we all come together. It doesn't boast. I mean, who doesn't need some attention once in a while? Proverbs says, let somebody else share your glory. Let's talk about you. How would it boast? It's thinking about others and God. That's what agape is. It's not arrogant or rude. Arrogant. I have it figured out. I don't need your help. That's arrogant. You obviously don't understand the way it really is because you're not as smart as I am. You must be brainwashed. That's what it is. There's some arrogance in that. I'm more important than you because I'm the elder of this church. Sorry, everyone, you're just a little secondary people here. We're not really a family. We're not really all brothers and sisters. We're all brothers, but I'm the chief brother. I think Jesus might have something to say about that. It's arrogant. If I held that view, I'd hope 2 or 3 of you would approach me. I'm grateful for how patient the men were at this church a long time ago when they did have an arrogant youth leader. It's just weird how love all comes together. I had no business sometimes leading this youth. But they must have saw something where they kept up with it. That's the patience and kindness they showed me. They met with me on several occasions. They weren't perfect either. And certainly love is not rude because it's concerned about the other person's feelings, not my own